please, 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 Pierce Brown, don't do what I think you're about to do.
And how you greet him is, no shit, Smallweed, is that you? Man, get the Hello guys, hello, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys have all been well. Today we're going to be doing a little bit something along the lines of a TBR takedown. I'm going to be reading the highest book on my TBR and the lowest book on my TBR. So I already have the books prepared here. We're just going to go off and start with the lowest on my TBR, The Lighthouse at the End of the World. Now I picked this up I want to say a month or two ago at Barnes & Noble's. One of the clerks recommended it to me. It was actually Barnes & Noble's pick for the month of March, I want to confidently say, or I could also say April. I'm going to go with April. I think that sounds more accurate. And if we actually go to Goodreads and check for the star rating that this book has, it is actually sitting at a 3.34. So it's not very high, but it's not very low. Honestly, I expected to have a book in my TBR that was way lower, but I'm gonna take a 3.34 over something like a 2-star. The book that I've been anticipating to read for a couple of weeks now is Lightbringer by Pierce Brown. And I already know how high this book is rated. It is boasting a 4.77 on Goodreads. That is the highest rating for any book I've ever seen, and honestly probably the highest rating for any sci-fi book that I've read thus far. So I have high hopes for Lightbringer. I've heard so much high praise and accolades for this book, so I just need to immediately dive into it. I'm not even gonna do like a spin the wheel to see which book I'm gonna read first. We're starting with Lightbringer, okay? I've held myself from reading this book for too long already. I just need to get into it. So without any more delay, we're just going to start reading, guys, and we're just going to have a little reading vlog. I'm going to share my thoughts intermittently. I also started a new process of journaling books that I've read so that I have a more cohesive explanation of what I'm reading every time I come back to the camera for you guys, and also for my recap. So I've done about like 3 or 4 books already since I've started in May. So luckily for you guys, my recaps will be more professional, more extensive. Let's stop talking and let's get into Lightbringer. Yay!
Guys, I'm on like page 7, and you know, Darrow's feeling pretty homesick right now, and the first person that he mentions is Victra. I'm still a diehard Victra and Darrow fan. I don't care. I love Virginia. I respect her, but Victra is definitely just my top pick for who Darrow should have ended up with. Like, you're telling me, and when he thinks of home, the first person that he thinks of is Victra. Not even her wife, not even his wife, not even his child. He thinks of Victra. I'm telling you, Pierce Brown is doing this for a reason, bro. He's heard the theories, and he's probably read some fanfics. He's probably seen some fan art, because there's just no way that he doesn't even mention his wife nor his child, but mentions Victra first. Severo second. Okay. Whatever. Hey guys, so we are back. It's a couple days later, and I've gotten to page 220 in Lightbringer, so that's about a third of the way through the book. So I'm just going to be doing what I did in previous videos, where I'm going to check in like every third of the book that I read. And I've been writing notes. I got these new notebooks that I write about the notes, where I write notes about the books that I've been reading, and I'm currently in the progress of doing Lightbringer, and I've written down a lot of things. I have character sheets for Darrow, Severo, Cassius, Lysander, and Virginia. I think the most that I have is for Lysander. I think this is a pretty Lysander and Darrow heavy book, but the most I have to talk about is with Lysander. This book, it's definitely a continuation, obviously, of Dark Age, where we get straight back into it. It's literally, we leave, the book starts right where we left off with Dark Age. And then obviously now that Cassius is back, we're seeing that friendship that rekindled between Darrow and Cassius. Because if you guys remember, at the end of Dark Age, Cassius is the one who saves Darrow from literal sudden death after Lysander impales his razor into Darrow's chest. And he also broke Darrow's razor, like the razor that he's used since the beginning of the book, which is so infuriating. It's really a lot of house politics, this book. Just seeing how each house is just fighting for power. Obviously, Lysander, his grandmother, used to hold the morning chair. She was the sovereign before Virginia took over, Darrow's wife, Mustang, aka. So he's really just trying to get that power back. He's doing coups. Like, he's also just trying to restore the hierarchy that the Golds were in, but he wants the Golds to be shepherds, not the aristocracy, like the authoritative way that the Golds were going way before this, which is why Darrow decided to break the chains, you know? We're going on with that, and in doing this, he goes against Atalantia, and by doing this he regains Ajax's trust, which is really good. I love seeing that brotherhood. It's low-key giving me parallels between Darrow and Cassius. So now we have Darrow and Cassius, and now we have Lysander and Ajax, and I'm really starting to think like dead homies, bro. Lysander and Darrow are two sides of the same coin. I said this in my April recap when I was rehashing what had happened in Iron Gold and Dark Age, but they are the same caliber, same everything. What they're doing, Darrow was the one who broke the chains, and now Lysander is trying to reinstitute the chains, if that makes any sense. But I'm about to read, I just left off on a cliffhanger, and it's so good that we left off on a cliffhanger at the third of the book. So now that I've been holding off for like 2-3 days reading this, so now I'm very excited to get back in. We are on chapter 26. We're about to breach chapter 26, and I'm not gonna say the cliffhanger. And I'm really hoping whatever Pierce Brown is about to do in this chapter, I really hope he's not gonna go through with it, because I love this character. So if you guys know, you know, I'm around page 220. So if you've already read this book, please, 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 Pierce Brown, don't do what I think you're about to do. We're back. I'm going to talk some more about Lightbringer. I'm over 2/3 of the page, 2/3 of the book now. I'm on page 486. So the threshold was around 452. So I'm like way over like 30 pages. And guys, this is my favorite third of the book so far, unless the last third of the book is going to prove me wrong. But so much has happened, and it's so eye-opening, and it's so delicious, and it's so beautiful. One of my favorite chapters of this entire book thus far was actually a Lysander POV, and you guys know how much I already hate that dude, so it was genuinely a shock, but it wasn't because of what was specifically what Lysander was doing. It was what happened to Lysander and what we discovered through Lysander's POV that just made this a 6-star for me. I did not know that Pierce Brown was willing to stoop this low. I thought Adrius Augustus, which was the Jackal back in like the first trilogy, was the biggest bad. No, not at all. Once you guys get to where I saw that the Jackal was not the biggest bad, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, how much worse can it get? I remember when I was reading it and I was just screaming, and then I wrote in my notebook and everything about what happened. But also, before we even get to Lysander, let's talk about Severo and his demeanor this whole book. Severo is thoroughly traumatized. Given to what happened to him in Dark Age, this guy was pawned and literally put on sale, auction, guys. And now Lyria has told him what happened to his wife Victra in the past book, which is Dark Age, which if you guys haven't read already, please read it. But if you have, then we already know what happens with Victra and Lyria on Mars and what happens at the hands of the Red Hand. So Lyria accidentally lets loose what happened to them, and Severo didn't know, which Lyria thought that Severo knew. And up to this point, Severo was so determined to go home. Like, he was severing his relationship with Darrow. He was just pissy. He was non-cooperative. It was just a terrible time to be around him. And now once that Lyria dropped this news, he was like, I can't go home. I can't face Victra. I can't face my daughters. This has to be done. But as soon as it's done, I'll go home. And that's what was going on to Severo. I literally I said, Severo needs a massive, all caps, psych eval. He needs a massive psych eval. essentially he's come onto this mission to intercept with the Daughters of Ares, which is the Rim's counterpart for the Core's Sons of Ares. So instead of Sons of Ares, it's the Daughters of Ares, and these are the people who survived after Darrow actually sold out the majority of the Sons of Ares to Romulus or Ra back in the first trilogy. So after all that happened, so now there's actually people who survived, and they've been calling for Sevro because, as you know, Sevro is the son of Fitchner, who was the first Ares, like the founder of this revolution. Sevro is wary to reach out to these Daughters of Ares because he thinks it's a trap, and rightfully so, because if you remember, Darrow sold out the whole like he sold out his own people for his own gains, and you know, some sacrifices have to be made, but that was a pretty bad sacrifice. So Sevro's like, I don't think we should go, guys. If we're caught in their hands, there's no telling what they're going to do, especially knowing what Darrow has done. So that happens, and that's pretty much up to where I wrote with Sevro. Back to Lysander. Oh my gosh, guys, I really just don't want to spoil this because I want the shock factor to be as great as it was for me if you guys ever pick up this book, but genuinely made it at 6 stars for me. And we also see Lysander just take this role of his ancestors. You know, his ancestor was Selenius Al-Lun, which is the lightbringer, the person who started this whole color hierarchy thing. He's the one who usurped Earth and started this colonization of the other planets, blah, blah, blah. Basically what started this whole series in the first place. That is his great grandfather, right? So now just his bloodline, just the Lun bloodline, carries such a weight. And you see this struggle with Lysander he's trying to take the mantle. Essentially, he's trying to uphold to what people are expecting of him, and we see that it's really detrimental to him, but it's also kind of flipping his mind, like he's becoming too arrogant, and you know, it's not nice to see. You never like to see somebody become arrogant, but Lysander, even just knowing how he was with Cassius that 10 years away when Cassius took him away, it's just such a fall from grace, honestly. And I've been saying this about Lysander, how his honor, his morality is so wavering on the terms of what it should be as a gold. And that's why I like to call him a pixie, because ooh, what he did in Dark Age, it still sticks with me. No honor, no time. Ooh, oh my gosh. Anyway, after that, we just learn what's behind everything, who's behind everything, who's leading the Obsidians with Volsung Fa, which is Volga's father, you know, the All-Father, and we learn who the actual All-Father is. Guys, spoiler alert, not even a spoiler, well, yeah, I'm not even gonna say anything. I should just cut that out. But it was such an insane reveal. I screamed, guys, and I was like, you know what, Pierce Brown, you have made a lifetime fan out of me, okay? And also, let me just comment that I love this Archimedes arc with Darrow, Sevro, and Cassius. It's like reading Red Rising, the first book, all over again when the three of them were in the Institute and they were unlikely friends, and just seeing their dynamic together, especially Darrow and Cassius. Those two, I told you, I didn't tell you guys, but I was telling myself this as I was reading the first book, that Darrow and Cassius, that is a homoerotic relationship. These two call each other brothers, but it is something way deeper than that, and there's just no explanation for the things that they say about each other. Darrow calls Cassius his bad man. He's a bad man, but he's my bad man. Yada, yada, yada. Cassius is like, it's just and it's just like, I love you, Cassius, don't die. Diomedes, who's joined and kind of made this like quad. I just love the relationship dynamic. Right now, I'm up to the point where they've been captured by the Daughters of Ares. So seeing the three of them stuck in a cell, sans Sevro, just hilarious. And I'm so excited to keep reading. And I'll update you guys with more of my thoughts once actually what I think I will do, I have a third of the book left, so what I can do is come back at the end of the book, or if there's a reaction that I really want you guys to see, I'll record it. I know there's one chapter in this book that everybody talks about, and I've tried to avoid spoilers, but I know the chapter is called Hangar 74B, I think, and it's chapter 84. Right now I'm on chapter 62, so it's still about 20 chapters away. But when I get to that chapter, I'll be recording my full reaction. I'm scared, but yes, I love this series so much. I'm so scared to part with it. I don't know when Pierce Brown is dropping the last book, Red God, but I'm also scared for Red God because I feel like Darrow is going to have to do some penance. He's going to have to pay for his sins, and the amount of sins that he stacked up it is only punishable by death. I'm already knowing, so I'm just doing my grieving early. So yeah. All right, guys.
Hello guys, I'm back. Actually, I'm gonna read some more today. It's actually really good outside. Like the sun came out and it's really hot. Might be a little bit too hot, but the sun is shining, the wind is blowing, and what other place not to continue reading Lightbringer but outside on my patio. So I'm gonna bring you guys along and we're gonna try and read. I think, let's see what chapter I'm on actually. I'm on chapter 77. We're getting closer and closer to the fated chapter, but we're not there yet. I don't know, I might have to run back inside and get my notebook unless something important happens, but we're gonna read. I'm actually gonna see if the fated chapter is the next chapter. I can't remember if it's 80 or 70, but let's see. Okay, it's not even, that's fine, perfect. Okay, so now we're just gonna have a chill reading sesh outside. We're not gonna have to start crying for no apparent reason. Perfect, yay! Okay guys, so let's read. I just love Darrow and Cassius's relationship. I think they said in a chapter, couple chapters before, how they were each other's best friend, and that just really healed something in me. Like, it's so. Oh, I also wrote down how there were some moments when Darrow was fighting Bo Sung Fa where it literally reminded me of Golden Sun, and then, well, first reminded me of Red Rising. There was a scene that he said that reminded me so much of Red Rising, and there was a scene that he said in there's something that he said that reminded me so much of Golden Sun where he says, "I've been wronged." And you guys remember that crazy confrontation at that gala, tomato, where Darrow confronts Cassius. He confronts the whole Bologna family and says, "I've been wronged." And he says, "I have been wronged" in this book. And I just started crying. Because, you know, just seeing everybody grow, seeing your characters that basically seen grow and mature into these new people, and seeing callbacks from times when they were just babies, essentially. It was so gratifying. It was so good. But yeah, guys, it is so hot. I didn't even know it could get this hot in Ohio. Actually, I do, because Ohio is so bipolar when it comes to their weather. Guys, okay, let me let something fly. I'm a Darrow and Cassius shipper. I've been a Darrow and Cassius shipper since Red Rising, and just seeing these moments with them together, it makes me so happy. Pierce Brown did this for us. He did this for the Dacius shippers, guys. Darrow's like, "Can we just walk?" I ask, and put an arm over his shoulders, please. Okay, I'm done. Okay, no more interruptions. Guys, it's here. Hanger 17B. Guys, my heart rate is so high right now. Like, I can hear it in my ears. Chapter 84, Lysander POV, Hanger 17B. And you know, before this even goes off, like, I just want to say, Cassius, just as he has been hailed the morning knight of the Republic, Cassius is the light of this series. He is the light of this series. He literally shines light on all the darkness that we read in all of these books, some shape or form, and his morality is that of like Gandhi, bro. Is that of a monk. Like, he is so pure. He is so pure in his need to just be a hero and to be somebody that people look up to. I have about 30 pages left of the book. You know, I'm gonna go mourn, and then I'll be back to talk about my thoughts on Lightbringer. Hello, whenever time you're watching this right now, it's morning for me. I'm dressed in my scrubs because I literally have to go to work in a couple of minutes. But I came back the next day to do my final thoughts on Lightbringer by Pierce Brown, and I just want to preface by saying that this book is a 6-star. This is probably the first time that I've ever had the desire to rate a book a 6-star, but Lightbringer just did it. I already knew that it was going to be a 6-star since like page 300 because I really did enjoy the last third. I just think the relationships really shone through in the last third, and not to mention what happened with one of our main characters. But either way, just seeing Darrow and Cassius just rekindle this friendship that they had a rift for 10 years. And I remember telling my mom about this yesterday, and she was like, it was unnecessary. Like, this 10-year drift between them was unnecessary. And I was like, that was the perfect word. Because I really do think that they shine brighter when they work together. And it was so evident in this book. And just seeing like the banter between them, it was just like, this is what I missed from the last couple of books. Red Rising was able to draw me in because the characters and the relationships were so strong, so relatable, and just so fun. But you know what? Now I'm in the wait with everybody for Red God, and I just can't wait for that book to come out whenever Pierce Brown is. And I want him to take his time. I think I read somewhere that Red God's supposed to be over 1,000 pages, and it's just like, just give it to me. The next book that we have to read is actually, where is it? It's actually on my bed. Is The Lighthouse at the End of the World. Now, I was contemplating bringing this to work to start reading. I might bring this to work to start reading, so I don't think I'll be able to record me beginning the book, but at least I'll have some things to say when I come back. So I will see you guys in a couple of hours. Okay guys, we are so back. I just came back from work, and I'm not gonna lie guys, I read a ton. I actually made it past 1/3 of the book. If we check right now, I'm on page 148, and this book has a 3.1 on Fable and like 3.3, 3.2 on Goodreads. And right now, I don't think that rating is fair. I'm actually flying through this book. It's like when I read Poppy War and I was flying through like the first 2/3 of the book. So hopefully it doesn't turn into that tale where the last third of the book is absolutely bonkers. We're starting off this book. The main character's name is Oyster, and his dad, Lucas, walked out on his sister Cecile and the mother Paris. This is a couple years ago. I haven't seen Lucas in a couple of years, so because now Oyster is the man of the house, he's taken up to gang activity, which is essentially just scamming tourists near the Big Ben. They're just playing some card tricks, and you know, if you just do a card trick, you can sway it to any means that you want. So they do that, and they get money from the tourists, and he's just in this little gang, and this money that he's making from the gang is essentially what's keeping food on the table. Going into this book, I thought it was just going to be really kind of like mystery based, but it's more fantastical, and it had a little bit of the horror aspect. I was reading this at work, and my heart rate was going up. I was like, what the hell? Because I've never read horror ever. I've never read thriller. I've never read any of those genres. So I was getting a little nervous, but I think it's settled down some, but it's genuinely very wacky. The world set is wacky. Essentially, Oyster is able to access this alternate dimension, and it essentially, each time he accesses the alternate dimension, it's a different copy of London. They call it the Greater London, and there's hypothesis that that is where Oyster's father went, Lucas, that he's in this Greater London and he just doesn't want to come back to the real world. So that's all I have for you guys. I will see you on the flip. Now that we're at the 2/3 mark, let's talk about what has happened thus far. So I did most of this while I was at work. I think I read a majority of the book while I was at work. And you guys might be wondering, how the hell do you have so much free time to just be reading books at work? Guys, I've been blessed with an amazing position. So we learn more, we meet new characters, and the last thing I talked about was finding Oyster's father, Lucas. And we actually managed to learn more information about Lucas because, as you know, Oyster didn't really want to know much about his father who walked out on his family. So any information that people had about his father, Oyster was more reluctant to learn about it, right? So once he finally sits down and people tell him, he learns that Lucas is actually some kind of deity. Also, we had a great training arc with Oyster. Now he's able to really hone this ability of being able to walk. And honestly, this walking, the easiest way I can describe it is he's basically teleporting. Like, he can just really just teleport, and that also includes being able to teleport to different dimensions. Yeah, I'm actually really enjoying this book. I'm spearheading it at a 4-star right now, so definitely like overcame my expectations, which I'm happy about. You know, nobody ever wants to read an unenjoyable book, but I'm really enjoying this. I love Oyster. I just love the way the dialogue is. I digress. I'm going to keep on reading, and we're going to hopefully finish this before the sun goes down, and I will be back, guys. Fresh off the bat, I can tell that this man is not serious at all. You're telling me it's been years since you walked out on your son and your family, and how you greet him is, no shit, Smallweed, is that you? Man, get the Wait, what? Is Mrs. Kaminsky alive? What does that mean? Bruh. How are they gonna end it with that cliffhanger? So, yeah, this book definitely went over my expectations. I loved all the characters. Everybody was just so silly, so goofy, so fun. And I just loved the language used in this. Like, I did not expect this at all, actually. This is such an eccentric read, but I enjoyed it so very much. So that was me reading the lowest book on my Goodreads TBR. Yeah, definitely does not deserve the ratings it has on Fable and Goodreads. I think people should definitely give this a shot. But yeah, wow. Okay, so I don't have any more thoughts. I feel like I've shared everything in between catching up with you guys in the thirds. But thank you guys so much for sticking out with me in this video. It was very fun. I want to do more of these more often. Now that Lightbringer has been taken down from my TBR, let's see what's actually the most highest now. The highest the highest on it is Red God, and Red God hasn't even come out yet. But the next highest is Dungeon Crawler Carl #2. I don't have that book in my person, but after that is Mistborn. I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a good day, a good afternoon, a good evening, and a good night. Bye-bye!